Hey, Hugh.
Maria.
I heard you were here in Meatpacking in New York City, and I figured I'd catch you for 21 questions. Do you have some time?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me, what type of photography do you shoot?
Street photography, street portrait, urban landscape, and classic street.
Awesome. And what got you started in photography?
It was a 35 millimeter Kodachrome slide that my mother shot at Water's Edge. Photography had me at that slide.
Awesome. And what was your first camera and lens?
It was a Sears 126 Easy Load with an integrated plastic lens until I took it apart, but we're not going to cover that today.
Cool. And what camera and lens do you shoot with now?
This, my SL2 from Leica and the Apo Summicron 35 f2.
So tell me about Three Blind Men and an Elephant. Is it just a one-man show?
Well, it started that way, and no, there aren't three blind men and there isn't an elephant, but we are a husband and wife team for quite a while now. Claudia began as our gimbal op, camera op, and she's become a co-producer, co-director. She worked with me, full partner in our Mariner East documentary series, and it's just so much fun to be out on the street shooting with her.
That's so cool. And so one of my favorite parts of your photography is how you capture such ordinary parts of life, but make them look so poetic and emotional. What is your goal when shooting, and how did you master your style?
Well, I love that you enjoy what we do, but I don't really think that I have a style, and that goes hand in hand with my goal, because what I'm actually trying to do is to elicit in the viewer of my work a little bit, just a little bit of the same emotions, the awe, the wonder, or the sadness, sometimes the anger that I experience on the street. As far as mastery is concerned, you're very kind, but I would say it comes from doing it all the time because it's about desire. I love photography. I need to photograph. To quote or paraphrase someone from a TV series, for me, photography is life.
Yeah. And what makes the streets and the people so interesting to you?
So, 8 million people in New York City, multiply each one by a lifetime's worth of stories, and then add to that the basically infinite mix of buildings, textures, light, shadow, juxtaposition. And I think you have the richest and most accessible tapestry of humanity on the planet.
And so you and Claudia lead workshops, right? Why take the time to teach others?
Because we love it. It's our passion, and the camaraderie that ensues is an amazing thing. We get great photographs, and we learn from our students. It's fantastic.
And tell me a little bit about what people can expect when they come to your workshops.
Well, Streets of New York, the workshop, is a real mix of class instruction, shooting, and review. And the review is incredible. It's a group process. We have a unique way of doing it. It's very supportive, and bonds are formed for life. We have so many people who come back again and again and become our friends.
So I heard you have a book. Tell us about it.
We do. Streets of New York, the book. We had so much fun putting it together. We sold out the first run. It's basically a love letter to New York, and we have a few copies left in the second run.
Awesome. Well, everybody better make sure to get those. And so with the pandemic, it's still going on, but before, how did you overcome your business with something that's so in person?
It's a really great question. We had to cancel a year and a half of filled workshops, but I was never going to try to recreate that experience in a video series. So I felt a little bit stuck, but then one door closes and another opens. And I started getting calls from people who wanted me to do presentations via Zoom. And then I found that people wanted to have one-on-one video sessions for portfolio reviews or gear selection, and that took off. And it's been great fun. And again, we meet such interesting people.
That's so cool. And so do you have any projects coming up?
We do. So we have 2 new books in the works, including Claudia's first. We are now working with large prints, 5 feet, 8 feet on alongside. and we are scouting for streets of Europe in 2023.
That's so cool. Well, I hope I can come with. Maybe you need an assistant.
We'd love to have you, Maria.
And so switching it up a little bit, since I know you often photograph in black and white, what are some tips for someone who's photographing in black and white and starting out?
Well, I'd say use the technology, because the technology is amazing. Especially if you have a mirrorless camera, I'd say set your EVF to black and white, because for someone just starting out, that will accelerate your learning how to see in black and white. And maybe I'll give you some more tips in another video.
Okay, awesome. And favorite thing to eat in New York City?
Cinnamon raisin bagel with a schmear, capers, onions, lox at Russ and Daughters.
It's like you were waiting for me to ask you this question. Favorite street to photograph in New York City?
Maria, you know it's not the destination, it's the journey, and every single street in New York is always changing.
Color or black and white?
Black and white, except if the frame demands color.
What city's on your bucket list to shoot?
Glad that you asked. Zurich, London, Paris, Jerusalem.
Ooh, that's good. If you could use one lens forever, which would it be?
This one. Aposumicron SL35, because it is absolutely the best piece of glass I have ever used at a focal length where, in combination with the SL2, I can punch in and get at least 2 or 3 more focal lengths.
Cool. Favorite piece of gear that isn't your camera or lens?
You know what? It's absolutely the 48 GPU Apple Mac Studio Ultra, because it makes editing so much faster. I'm so much happier.
Best advice you've ever received?
My father would often say, sometimes all you can do is put one foot in front of the other, so do that.
Yeah, it's good advice. If there were to be a movie about your life, who would play you?
Claudia says Jeff Goldblum
Oh my God.
with wild hair and a goatee.
I see it. I could see it.
Well, life finds a way.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope he's listening and watching. Last question, who should we interview next?
I'd love to see you sit down with Sebastião Salgado. He's an amazing photographer, but he's a really interesting person.
Cool. All right, we'll call him right up. And I don't want to take any more of your time. Get back to shooting. Thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Oh, this was great. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah. All righty, bye.